All right, fellas, I'm joined today by Dane Johnson, and I'm thrilled about this conversation because, as you will soon learn, Dane became the CEO of his own health journey. And as business owners and entrepreneurs out there, my sense is if you're like me, you like to be in control of things, you don't like to give away your destiny to other people. So Dane went through some real challenges in his life, which we'll get to that. We'll unpack his story, and then ultimately healed himself. And I'm oversimplifying for this quick intro, but he healed himself. And now here we are today talking about that journey and why he is the CEO and founder of Crohn's Colitis Lifestyle, the largest and most successful IBD consulting firm globally. I was able to consume some of Dane's, his messages, podcast interviews. He was on with Ben Greenfield, who we recently had in Front Row Dads. And I really enjoyed his journey, partially because some of the stuff like I've experimented with and I'm excited to ask like, hey, how did that work for you? Here's how it worked for me. And I want to talk about all this stuff that we can geek out over, the supplements, the processes, but also the mindset behind what got Dane to where he is, because he went, Dane's had this like roller coaster. Those are my words, not his, but maybe he feels that way. This roller coaster of like things going perhaps exceptionally well, and then all of a sudden, like, or maybe not all of a sudden, but for a season, things were really challenging. A 6'2" guy who, dropped his weight to maybe 122, I heard, but is now sitting at a healthy 185. And so I want to unpack what happened to get him to 122, what brought him back into ideal health at 185, and whether or not you have IBD. If you do, you're in the perfect show. But if you don't, that's just the storyline that's going to be ultimately a pathway for us to talk about what it means to reclaim your health, to focus on your mindset and creating a healthy environment, all the things that go into a world where your body can heal. And I think I see it all together as mental, physical, spiritual, emotional health. And I think Dane feels the same way from what I know about him, but we're going to see where this conversation goes. So from a guy who went from basically from dying to thriving, we're going to unpack that journey. And without your health, it's really hard to be a great dad and a great husband, to which Dane is. An amazing father and an amazing husband, has a beautiful family. So I'm ready to dig into this. Dane, thanks for being here, brother.
Wow, John, thanks for the intro. And everyone out there, I want to put out an affirmation that I'm going to give you as much value. I'm going to bring the heat. I'm excited to make this a life-changing conversation. Thanks for being here. Healing is possible. Let's grow together. We win together. I'm ready. Thanks for coming, John. I'm so excited. You're my people. I'm a CEO. I started my company 10 years ago. I bought my first company at 18 years old for $80,000. Took a huge loan from my mom in the bank. Yeah, a lot of people don't know this. It was called guybuys.com. I resold men's gifts, and my main target were women looking for their husband's gifts because they were running out of stuff. And their dads, like on Christmas, what do I buy them? So we sold tailgating and sports memorabilia and all this stuff. And I had 60,000 SKUs, and I'm 18 years old. I hire my best friend. This is amazing, and it was a total disaster. He didn't know anything. I'm trying to make a payroll. I'm taking customer service calls. I'm refreshing 40,000, 50,000 SKUs, trying to get in stock, sales. I mean, it was crazy. Click, cost per click, ad spend. I mean, it really taught me about entrepreneurship at a young age. And I ran the company into the ground 4.5 years later, right after I paid it off. So I paid off the 80 and then it went kerplat. And it was a huge experience. So this is our team, our community. I get so hyped around CEOs and entrepreneurs. I love these conversations. I feel like myself. I feel free, and I'm excited to dive in. Thanks for having me, John.
Yeah, man. So that was from 18 to 22. What did you do then? What was the next step after that company? Or did you sell it or close it or whatever you did?
I closed it. I didn't know I was a kid. I took a job. So I finished college. I was goofing around a little bit in college. Then I woke up, and a lot of you guys can relate with this. I woke up and decided to really define on what I wanted. So I looked at school, and I took 18 credit hours in the spring, 18 over the summer, and 18 over the fall. And I got out and I moved, and I got a job, one of the highest paying jobs right out of college, with like a 2.7 GPA, I might add. I didn't have good grades. I ran businesses. I was working way more than I was studying. Okay. And I heard that online. I was like, I always felt I was that C student who had a job. I had a job since I was 14 years old. Papa John's, $5.15 an hour is my first job. My dad wanted to pay me $20 an hour to clean the toilets. Nope, they're going to pay me $5.15 an hour to flip pizzas. He used to give me a hard time about that. But, then I got diagnosed. So at 22, 23, I got diagnosed with an incurable disease called ulcerative colitis. And then later it was Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis. The doctors couldn't make up their mind, eventually Crohn's colitis. I got my first symptoms at 19 years old. And I think stress had to do with it. I think I was really into weightlifting. I was really into exercise and cutting fat, building muscle. I wanted to look my best. For Christmas at 14, I asked for weightlifting equipment for Christmas. I was a good old boy from the sticks in Virginia who I had this itch. I wasn't going to let people tell me what was the way to go. I was going to find my own path. I was going to work hard. I wasn't afraid to suffer. And
Wait, nobody in the community can relate to that.
And that's why you're my people, man.
My people.
My people. I'm so excited to be here. And I hope I can drop some big W's for you today. My story is very long, but it required a lot of suffering. And if people out there, if you're suffering with something as a dad or through your health or even through your business, realize that suffering is the gateway to becoming a superhero. You do not get great at something without some form of suffering. And suffering can be as light as, I'm not going to go out on a Friday night. I'm going to stop drinking alcohol. I'm going to stop getting rid of processed foods. I'm going to wake up earlier and have an hour or two before the kids wake up. I'm going to read more, and I'm going to put more effort. And that is a form of suffering, because our natural instinct is turn on the Netflix, zone out, or smoke a doobie, or open a beer. And a lot of us, and most of us on this call, have probably gotten past that, and we're looking to refine that. Because, and I read this great quote the other day in this book on manifestation. I'm always reading books on manifestation, and it says, the universe is always expanding, and so is your desire. Your desire can never be truly fulfilled because of the expansion of time and space and the world. So because reality is always expanding, we can never be truly fulfilled with our desires. That's part of life. To desire is a good thing. But to need and be fear-based is where we get into trouble. I need to make more money, or things aren't gonna work out. We want to do things. That is more of a manifestation, a law of attraction, the right verbal communication with people, saying yes to this podcast, saying yes to your community, saying yes to the things that allow you to explore more options, right? To create possibilities. I love that word, possibilities. I'm constantly putting fishing lines into the universe. Right now, I'm putting one right now. I'm just creating possibilities with every you guys out there that this is going to be the best podcast. I want to connect with you. I want to grow with you. It's a win-win. It's not a win-loss. It's a win-win. Whether it's commerce, whether it's friendship, whether it's exercise, we're either going to win together or it's not a relationship. That's how I work. Yeah. So integrity and trust is how we roll, okay? And we have to build that. That's not something you get. It's something that's earned. We have to earn things in this world. And that's why life's worth living. So I had to learn all this at a young age because I suffered greatly. At 23 years old, I was having 15 bloody bowel movements a day. Right now, I'm 190 pounds, 6'2". I started dropping weight, 160, 150, 140. And I wasn't trying to go against the grain. Just like everyone out there was like, doctor, I got PPO insurance. Give me whatever, man. Give me the prednisone, the mesalazine. All right, you want to give me 6-MP, methotrexate. All right, now you want to give me biologics for the rest of my life. This is where I started hitting speed bumps. I'm going to be on Remicade for the rest of my life. That didn't work. Okay, I'm going to be on Entyvio for the rest of the life. That's not working. And I hit so much resistance where I wasn't getting out of it. The prison was getting deeper. So John, imagine you're doing what you're supposed to do, and it just gets worse and worse to where you can't leave the house. You can't be away from the bathroom. You can't sleep at night. I was waking up 5-6 times every night for probably, I think that happened at one time. It was about 8 or 9 months straight, 5-6 times a night, plus 10 to 15 in the day. So you lose your social life. You can't eat food. You're hungry but nauseous. You're in a lot of pain. You're getting arthritic pain. Your muscles are so weak you can hardly move. I mean, I went from a 315-pound bench press at 173 pounds, shredded, to, I remember I was walking with a cane, and I had to relearn how to walk from a wheelchair at 27. I couldn't even lift up and get a blanket to put over my body that was cold sweat shivering at 128 pounds. I couldn't even lift up. I actually fell trying to lift up and get the blanket. And to me, it was laughing because I was the guy with the ego, right? I was the guy with, let's push harder, let's get bigger. And I wasn't the biggest, fastest, or strongest, but I love to compete. So for me, it was like, wow, God's really, I can't even lift something up, I had to laugh. And even back then, it was like, how is this possible? Remember the first time I went back to the gym and I got this little cane? And there was a personal trainer working with like an 80, 75-year-old woman. And she was doing back rows on the machine. And she got up, left, and I sat down on the same weight and went, huh, too heavy. I had to
Mm.
go lighter than grandma, and I had to laugh really hard. But it was a lot. And so a lot of my story, and it was that suffering is why I'm here. I'm not someone from an ivory tower just talking or just reciting statistics. They're good. Clinical information is great. But have you lived it? Have you lived experience? Have you really suffered? Have you been on the battlefield? Have you had to crawl your way out with bleeding nails out of a black hole of nothingness? Out of this is your life, better luck next life. Because that's what it was with the doctors. Remove your colon, you're going to have a stoma bag. You're going to poop into a bag for about 6 months to a year. Then we're going to resection your bowel, and you're going to be on biologics. You'll probably need to go on disability. You'll need to move back in with your mom. This is 25, 26, 27, and that's it.
Mm.
And the crazy thing here is, John, and I think a lot of people resonate, is the door was wide open for me to be a victim. Like if I had told the whole world I have an incurable disease, I've gone to every big doctor in the country. This is it. You can't do anything about it. Food doesn't matter. I don't have any control over this. I'm a 25-year-old. What do I know? Right? The whole world always tells us when we're young we don't know anything. It always pissed me off like a rattlesnake. People thinking they know so much, and because they don't know what we're capable of. Like only you know what you can do with your own two hands. Don't let anyone ever take away that power from you. You decide your fate. And yeah, the river's going a certain way, but you got to paddle.
Yeah.
So, that always got to me. But, and then, after suffering and going through this and getting worse and worse and going on all the drugs, I eventually woke up and realized that there was a lot of missing things there. And you're going to see this in life when people tell you a reality has to be a certain way. You're going to see certain things that are just not going to make true to you. And that's what lit me, John, is when I saw the indifferences. And I said this on the Greenfield podcast. And then this is one of the biggest moments that changed my life is, I've been to so many doctors, done so many colonoscopies, and one day I just decided not to eat anything. I was like, I'm going to lose 4 pounds,
Yeah.
whatever. What's new? I'm not going to eat anything. And all of a sudden, my bowel movements went from like 18, 20 a day because I started journaling and keeping track of what was actually happening. And then all of a sudden, they went down to 10. My pain was down. Now, I can't keep this up. But when I went back to ask the doctor about a correlation, they just kind of said, no, that doesn't mean anything. There's nothing you could do. There's no correlation. But I had just saw the needle move. And people in the world always want to tell us that we have no impact over the needle. And I just saw the needle swing 40% by doing something I couldn't keep up, but the needle moved. And that changed my game because I said, if I can make it move with something drastic, can I not reverse engineer that and critique it and be consistent and persistent and focused as a human? That's so much of what success is, whether it's business, whether it's marriage, whether it's your health. It's a consistency. Okay, write this down. Consistency over perfection. God, perfection it's just paralysis over analysis. Stop trying to be perfect. Most of the things I've done in life, it's just been consistent. Do it, even if it needs to be done better. The world will forgive me. I'll do it better next time, but I'm going to move it forward. And a lot of times that errors of doing it imperfect action, I then tweak it from there. You need the data. And that was the biggest thing that changed for me is I got consistent. I got focused. I journaled every day.
Well, that's the thing that I started to lean into your story when I saw that you were the one doing it. You were the one paying attention. That's the part that I really admire is like when you're like, I start journaling, I start paying attention, I start to take control. You made that point of like, you could have played the victim. Well, I went to the doctor. He didn't tell me what to do. He didn't catch it. And you could play that role versus like, what do I know to be true? This is that sovereignty piece. This is the part where we want men to have a spine. We want them to be able to like look at the information, know yourself, know your possibilities, take action. Like, can you be advised by a doctor? Of course, they could be super smart and give you a great solution. They can also miss a lot. I hear that all the time. It's like they can miss a lot. It seems that you also went and you tried. Oh, well, let me say this real quick because I don't want to miss that. Like, there's this whole season of suffering that was like that preceded what was ultimately then your healing journey, the things you learned, the things you did. And I'm trying to understand from a timeline perspective, what was the season of suffering from when you first got diagnosed and your weight started dropping, things started to um, I don't know what term you would use, degrade, fall apart,
Yeah.
whatever, get worse and worse and worse, right? But like how long was that season of the decline before you were able to catch things and start
Yeah.
with progress?
The short answer is 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
The long answer is I would start suffering and then they put me on prednisone. It would help. But then 4 months later, it would go like this. It's like stocks, guys. You know when something's going down, it goes up a little bit, then
Yeah.
down a little bit before
Yeah.
its baseline. It goes up a little bit and then down. It was like that.
Yeah.
So I would use something that would slightly help. It might be the summertime. I might feel a little bit better. I went on a vacation. I feel a little bit better. But if you looked over 6 months, it was like that.
Yeah.
So there was hope in there. But then over time, that's where really depression kicked in. Depression is a feeling of there's no way out.
That's
It's
right.
not a truth, it's a feeling. And we go in and out of depression even on a daily or weekly basis based on our perception of truth. Our perception of truth. That's why if you sit down with a great therapist and they make you feel better, you go, "Oh, I feel like I have hope now." Because we can't ever change reality. We can just change how we see it, the perception. You can see the best therapists in the world. They can't change this is the reality, right? But they can change the view of it. Most of life is a perception. There's no such thing as truth a lot of times. At our level, guys, of where we are, we need to realize that perception is just or truth is a paradigm. You can view it, you can color it. It's your canvas. How are you going to come at the problem? And when you listen to the greatest speakers in the world, you're going to hear the most empowered way they come at problems. They just see it. Like if I pay Anthony Robbins $1 million to consult me one-on-one, Tony Robbins, he can't change my life. He can only help me become self-empowered, but I got to do the walk. I got to do the work. There's no amount of money you can pay anyone outside of yourself that can give you the life that you want if you're not going to take charge.
Yeah.
And that's what I said. I was so easy for me to become a victim, but that life wasn't one I wanted, and I wasn't okay with that story. Even though everyone said green light. Matthew McConaughey likes to say, green lights everywhere, Dane. You're going to get your colon removed. You can live on the government. You're going to be, everyone's going to be okay. I said this to my best friend the other day. I said, if I had told you that I just had an incurable disease and just that you would have had that story, I would have enrolled you in that story. And for the rest of your life, you would have said, man, Dane just got a bad deck. It's not his fault. Oh man, let's work on that, guys. It's not your fault, but guess what? It's for damn sure your responsibility. If there's one thing I can give you today, it's that. Write that down. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. And we have been conditioned in our life that it's not our responsibility, that it's not our fault. It's the doctor's responsibility. It's our parents' responsibility. It's our friends' responsibility. It's the government's responsibility. Who cares whose fault it is? Take responsibility for what you can and enroll others who think like you and get involved, get connected, and climb your way to what you want, even if you don't think it's fair. I just got there. I got there mentally, and then I hung onto it. I was like a fish on a hook on that energy. Like there was no way I was letting go of that. So when you say, hey, I was listening to Bob Marley and stuff, being a victim was to be resentful and be angry. I was no longer willing to allow that energy to sit inside of me. And I didn't care whatever the story was or who did what to me. I was not willing to wake up and feel like that. Because at the end of the day, I'm the one suffering with those feelings. So the moment I stopped being sick, it was like a catalyst. I had stopped allowing my mind to think, act, and be a sick person. I'll give you examples, John. When I was chronically sick and feeling those depressive thoughts, I'm stuck. Everyone tells me I'm stuck. And that happened because at 23 years old, I wasn't conditioned like this. I had to suffer to reignite my brain, recondition myself. So if you're going through something hard right now, why? What are you going to learn from it? Because it's either going to probably be one of the best things that ever happened to you, or it's going to continue to be one of the worst. But I do think we can react to it. And so that was one of the big things that, I was refused to be a victim. I refused to feel bad anymore. And it started with stopping to be a sick person. When I was chronically sick, I wouldn't get dressed for the day. Sometimes wouldn't even shower. I couldn't even walk. If my mom was like, you should shower, I could easily say, what are you talking about? I'm sick, la, 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 get off my back. You ever hear people like that? They just give you a million excuses and they're justified. Yeah. You want to be a justified victim? All for you, but I don't think it's for us. Are you being justified? I don't care if you're justified. You guys are on this podcast because you're elites. Okay? No more justifications. What do you want to do? All right. So now the second part of that, the big thing is you now know, okay, I don't care if I'm justified. I want to change my life. I get it. Now what? Now you've got to take action and then underline condition, balance. Me getting gluten-free was not easy. Me making for a year, I only ate what I cooked. So here's some of the top things I did that helped change my life. Number one, I stopped putting negative energy around me. I wouldn't allow it. If someone had a problem with me or something negative to say, I always worked. The first thing I did is try to change their energy into something positive. So I always looked for solutions. I always gave compliments. I always listened and did deep breathing. And I really was trying to trick the person to get out of their negativity or anxiety, or I just walk away. So with negative energy, I do two things. I either spend my energy to change yours, which is taxing if they're not willing to change, or two, I just get away. So me and my dad weren't getting along so much. I, as a 24, 25-year-old guy, said, hey, I love you. I don't care he's the dad. Doesn't matter. I'm tired of feeling like this. I'm tired of my reasons for being angry.
Yep.
And I called my dad and I told him how much I loved him and why I loved him and why he was a strong man and why I looked up to him. And I had a million excuses why I could go the other way. I didn't care about that anymore. So I only ate what I cooked. Why? Because I don't know if I should be carnivore or plant, and I don't want to get in the war, and I didn't know how to make sense of it. So I have life-threatening inflammatory bowel disease. Here's what I can control: what goes in my mouth and who prepared it. See, that's the hard road. It's easy. You can do that easier than you can dunk a basketball on 10 feet. But to you, it's like, I can't do that because it's mental conditioning and mental discipline. So how do I get in balance with that? I'm letting the sun in. I'm playing Bob Marley. I'm singing along. I'm getting dressed for the day. I find things that are easy and quick to make that don't take so much time. And there's not a million dishes, right? So I started making like an elemental shake in the morning. Just a great shake with protein powder, collagen, mucosal healing supplements in there, maybe slippery elm, marshmallow root, N-acetylglucosamine, maybe a little George's aloe vera, a little bone broth protein, maybe 2 bananas, make them, work on getting them a little bit more greenish because they're lower sugar and higher in resistant starch. See, that's all work, guys. That's all questions. That's all reading, underlying, asking, and developing, And then I might cook. I stopped cooking one meal. I cook 6 meals. Why? Leftovers, baby. I'm good to go. And one of my favorite meals when I was doing more carnivore, I would have like 15 chicken wings because that's what I ate when I used to watch on game day.
Yeah.
It's like I'm having
Old
wings.
are you at this season? Like when you start really cooking or only eating what you cook, how old are you?
20, I started doing this around 25, 26, and I was kind of like trying and getting in, getting out, getting in. I was already in natural medicine school for a year. A lot of people don't know this. I was already in natural medicine school a year prior to me almost dying. So I had been trying. That's the thing. I did not get results quickly. That's why I'm so mentally conditioned and resilient. I suffered. There was no perfect diet for me. I did SCD. I
That's
did
what
more
I wanted to
carnivore.
ask. Yep.
I really suffered, guys. This was not easy for me. I see people in my program get results so quickly, and I'm like, you don't understand. That took me about 4 years to what you did in 3 months
So
because I
this
didn't
is,
have this.
I know you said there was like a handful of things that you did. So I don't want to derail you from all those, but I do want to ask
Yeah.
about this piece here because I find this is a crux for a lot of the guys and especially the type of people again that tend to be attracted to the front row dads community,
Mm-hmm.
which are um, very hungry men for new knowledge. So it's like, tell me what kind of supplement. Cool. I'm going to get that. I'm going to do this. And
Yeah.
for me, and I was laughing with my buddy Hal about this the other day. It's like, we're not sure what happened because we did 8 things at once, and we just don't know what actually worked. Was it the stem cells I sprayed in my nose? Was it methylene blue? Was it the fact that I started with some, MCT oil? Was it because I eliminated the sugar all at the same time and I happened to do an IV drip? And, because you get into it's like, all right, I'm going to take care of my health. And then you go all in.
Yeah.
And my question to you is, can you speak to a little bit of that, the part of the journey where you start making changes and you're like, how long do I do this before I go, that didn't work? Hey, I
Mm-hmm.
started to eat this way, but I don't know. I don't feel differently. And then I'm going to add this in and I'm going to take this out. And if I only ever change one thing at a time and I wait 2 weeks to do the second thing, it feels like it's going to take forever when somebody
Yeah.
just told me there's 13 supplements I should probably take. So
Yeah. Clarity.
if my question makes sense, it's like, how do you
Yes.
navigate what to do, how long to do it before you decide this is or isn't working, especially when you hear a
Yeah.
story like yours, which is like, sometimes it takes a long time.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic question. So there's a lot of layers to that, and I'll break them down. First, one of the benefits and one of the good things about me being chronically sick is I had a lot of symptoms to measure. A lot of people listening don't have a lot of symptoms to measure. It's just my energy or anxiety
Right.
or a little extra weight or I want to feel like Zeus. Okay, right? That's a little different. Mine were easy. Blood in the stool, cramping pain, urgency, weight loss. So that was the first layer is I could really see it. The second thing is if I do 10 things and only 4 of them work, as long as the other 6 aren't causing a negative effect, I'm doing all 10. Because I needed to get results. I was trying to get my life back. If you're doing 10 things just to increase your energy by 15%, you have to come back and really look at strategy. Okay. So there's a little different layers, people listening versus where I'm at, right? So I'm going to do all 10. And then as I get closer to the result, I'm going to slowly reduce what I need to do. So an answer might be, I might do all 10, but now I do all 10 less. So it's the number one thing I tell people is like, look, I've gotten symptom free. I've gotten fantastic results. How long do I need to keep up with a probiotic or curcumin or immunomod A or HBOT? I say, I want you to do the exact same thing for another 2 months. I just want you to do it only 70% as much as you were doing it. So just cut 30% off the same protocol. Because if I'm still good in another 2 months, now I know that I can take maintenance dosages. My cost goes down. The amount I need to focus on it goes down while I'm starting to feel more safe in my body that I don't need all these things to perform as I do.
Yeah.
So that's the easiest way to answer it. And then from there, the biggest thing you have to condition that most people are not doing is they're not conditioning their intuition. You are outsourcing the answers and saying, someone else tell me the hack. You hear it, you buy it, especially if you have a budget, right? A lot of guys with money, you hear it, you buy it, you take it, you do no other research, you're not journaling, you have no intuition on what's changing in your body. There are 3 types of currency you can use or you can spend: time, energy, and cash. And people, a lot of men with cash are just relying on cash and they're not spending enough time or energy on it. And so you have a shit intuition nature. You don't know. You're not journaling, and I can do 3 things at the front, but because of my study on them, I know what they intuitively do. The biggest mistake you might also be making is you're going to an ND, they're putting you on 5 things, you have no idea what they freaking do, and you're just taking them. You have no idea what you're taking and what it does.
Yeah.
So part of our program, we call it solving supplements. Okay. And I'll give you a little hack right here. The first thing you have to do is you have to categorize supplements. What is the purpose? A category tells you a purpose. So one category is a probiotic regimen. So if you're dealing with gut health, probiotic regimen, what is the purpose of a probiotic? Microbiome diversity, immune system balance, digestion, gut lining. It tends to be low risk and high reward. It can even help with digestion, stomach acid. It can help with the development and creation of hormones, which are made in the gut. Okay. And a stronger microbiome, we see evidence that it reduces the chance of COVID and all these other problems, right? You also have a supportive supplement. Supportive supplement, imagine you're in Gotham, okay? Supportive supplement's the ability for the FedEx man to go from the east side to west side, okay? It's the ability to transmit information like vitamins, minerals, okay? Electrolytes. It's the ability to also maybe turn on the lights, turn off the lights, anxiety, nervous system function, sleep regulation, like magnesium threonate, right? You also have, so you have supportive supplements, vitamin D. Next, you have antipathogens. If you've got the Joker in Lower East Side causing havoc, you need to send in the SWAT team, but try not to blow up the whole city, okay? That's like wild of oregano, berberine, biocidin, black walnut, all these different products, colloidal silver. They're like your SWAT team that kill the bad guys, but they also can cause friendly fire, and you need to have systems right, okay? Mucosal healers, like your medic first aid. What do? They help calm down inflammation. That's your fire department team. That's your medic sitting down dealing with an injured guy in the Lower East Side from the battle with the Joker, right? So, and then last is like a binder. A binder is what helps to grab toxins and get them out. Get out of here. Go, go, go. Or the fumes. Imagine you're in a game and you're shooting somebody and you shoot the bad guy and he releases toxic fumes. If you get too close, it makes you sick. Like a game. You need binders to extract endotoxins, mycotoxins, okay, heavy metals, environmental toxins from your binder. So activated charcoal, fulvic acid, humic acid, broccoli sprout, apple pectin, bentonite clay, IgGI. So the serum-derived bovine immunoglobulins, SBI, serum-derived bovine immunoglobulins are great, and they also are FDA approved. The doctors use one called Interrogam for people with severe IBS diarrhea. You can get low dose over the counter, and it's got FDA approval, tons of clinical research, because anything FDA approved has a lot more research than a lot of the woo-woo natural medicine, right? So now what I did is I quickly just gave you a really quick 5-minute breakdown of just categorization. You need to start getting trained and stop outsourcing your training. That requires time and focus. Stop relying only on money. I get it. You got money. I get you can pay for a lot of stuff and get convenience, but you need to become more accountable for taking your time and energy. Why? Because we're talking about your health and your ability to keep yourself healthy for the rest of your life. It is not your coach, your nutritionist, your personal trainer's responsibility to make you healthy, even if you pay them. And if you pay them $1,000,000, it is still your responsibility. And the number one thing you want from your coach is not the results. That's a close number two. The number one thing you want is for them to train you on how to get self-empowered. Yeah. If you just do anything because they tell you to, and you're not asking why, you're losing the number one value in your money, which is to get trained. So no matter who I work with, I'm asking questions. I'm a ton of questions. I take a defense class with like gun handling and disarming people, wrestling stuff, and I'm sitting there all the time after every class, taking notes, writing things down, asking questions, because I'm not there just to delegate them teaching me. I'm there to actually learn it and be able to say it right. So that takes time and energy. You need to use all three to be a master in your life, okay? All three forms: energy, time, and money. If you use all three, that's where you're going to get 10 out of 10. If you're already successful, I'm assuming that you're not focused with time and energy in the right departments. And then it's giving you an out of balance because you don't like that, right? And you can outsource. Like one of the things we did is we paid for a chef who understand my food philosophy, how I ate. I taught her how I want to eat. So she comes over once in a while and helps prepare 10, 12 different meals with local farm-raised food. So now we don't have to go get crappy food on Uber Eats. We don't have to worry about seed oils at restaurants as much. I know my kids are eating right. And as leaders of your health, everyone, it is your job to set the stage of how is this going to get simple for my family? How can my kids not need the junk food and still be balanced without me being out of balance? So you need to build systems. And if you don't understand the value of them, you can't then build it out for your kids and your wife. And I'm going to tell you right now, I realized this with my kid. My son, 3.5 years old, if I watch too much TV, he's begging for TV. If I watch no TV, he doesn't even ask for it. Yep. If he's got my attention, he doesn't ask for it. But if I'm on the TV flipping around, he's saying, Dad, when's it my turn?
Yeah.
The kids are out of balance because you're out of balance. I'm going to call you out. You're out of balance. You got money in your bank account? Great. What else? How are you? Where's your energy? Where's your marriage? How's your level of excitement for life? There's so much to do in life. There's so much we get to work on as men. So much. But we got to get in balance with loving those things. What jobs? What hobbies? How are you leading? We are leaders of our family, and not just financially. If you can't handle the stress and overwhelmed, how can you expect your wife to? And how can you expect your kids to do any different? I see so many parents telling their kids what not to do when they're doing it themselves. So you've got to build it within yourself before anyone can ever take you seriously. That's the difference. I'm on the battlefield. I'm not talking from an ivory tower. I live this, I breathe it every day, and I suffered, and it wasn't easy. And so, yeah, when I'm here, I literally feel like sometimes people are asking me all these clinical research, and I've got dust all over my face, war paint on, dodging problems left and right. And I'm like, yeah, that's all great. I love the clinical, but have you lived it? Show me. Who have you helped? Show me 500 testimonies. We put out a testimony every week of reversing people's gut health issues. Every week. We work with 120 clients per week, my team around the world. Okay. Wow. And we meet. How's it going? How's your team? How's that 9-year-old? How's that 12-year-old? How's that 50-year-old? How's that person post-surgery? We live in the chronic, and we have to keep our energy right, or else it's going to bleed onto our community. We got to build each other up. That's what your friends, that's what your brotherhood is for. Do you have your brotherhood who's living like you? And that's also hard for us, John, because a lot of us, we're top 1%, and everyone we grew up with, all our best friends, they don't live like that. Yeah. And we can't keep trying to drag everybody with us. So, where you look, I love what you're doing. That's why I'll pay for a network. I'll write a check. Get me around CEOs. Get me around big thinkers. Because the only two ways, and I want you to write this down. These are the only type of people who should be allowed to influence you. Okay. If you're feeling called this way and that way, only allow anyone in this world to influence you if they are happier and they are healthier. Okay. Even rich. If someone's more rich than you, but they're not happier and healthier, be wary. Because there might be some energy there that you're going to regret getting close to. Because you don't want to just kind of be close with someone for a little bit. You want to know who's your brotherhood. Who are you here to do this with? Who have the right values, same values of you, because you can always go make more money, right? Happier and healthier. So for me, I don't care if you're richer than me. I don't care if you're more famous than me. I don't care at all. If you're not happier and you're not healthier than me, there's not much you're going to influence me on, because those are the two most vital things.
Great point. When it comes to finding the right support, and I fully agree, what you're saying is that you need to be an active participant. It, it goes back to when I was in my mid 20s and I was whitewater rafting up in Canada, and the guide, talk about like a comment that sticks with you for the rest of your life. He goes, if you fall out of the boat, you must be an active participant in your own rescue. You can't just float down the river and be like, save me. And dude, it's like, he said it one time, but I remember that to this day, which is that, look, you don't have to become a doctor. These are my words, not yours. I'm not repeating, but I don't believe you need to become a doctor. I don't believe you need to become the expert, but I do think you need to have some expertise in things that matter to you, like your taxes, right? You can hire a great CPA, but you still need to be an active participant. I think
Yeah.
that when it comes to health, what I want is I want to hire somebody that's super smart to advise me. And maybe that's a functional medicine practitioner. Maybe it's somebody who can help me in the journey. But you're right. I need to take notes. I need to be engaged. I need to know my stuff. This is my life. Nobody's going to care about it more than me, perhaps,
Yeah.
arguably. But
We're,
how do you find that person is my point. How do you go out and find the doctor,
yeah.
the coach, the counselor, perhaps even the community that is the one that's going to be the best for you?
Fantastic question. And I love where everyone, I know everyone's in different places right here. The number one thing that I would look for, the number one thing is how I live my life and how I look for anyone that I pay or get close to me, that I feel a sense of trust and I feel there's a large sense of integrity on how they do everything. Healing and life and results are not linear, they're fickle, and every case is different. Whether you're working with a wealth manager, a CPA, a marriage counselor, a health advisor, that person's going to get on, and every case is different. I hear it from everyone who really does consulting at a high level. It's a little different for everybody. So the first thing is I need to feel like I have a sense of integrity with you, because if I'm talking with you and it didn't go perfect, I already know that I can sit down, have a conversation, and we can maybe go this way. I've had many members who go left, right, and then boom. It's that sense of, can I stick with you and realize what I'm doing? It's not, there's no magic. We feel a lot of people suffer from MPS, magic protocol syndrome. You're just looking for a little hack without really taking it on and really understanding. And that's also a problem of, what are your values? You put your time and energy into what your values are. So if you're not putting time and energy into your health, that means it's not one of your top values. And a lot of people were overvaluing making money. My naturopath professor used to say, either spend money to get healthy, or he's, what did he say? I'm sorry, I messed it up. He goes, most people sacrifice their health to get rich, and then they spend their riches to get healthy.
Yep.
And I was like, man, that just, what it did for me when I heard that is it just took health as a value in my life and just notched it up, which is why I put more energy and time into it, because it's the number one thing that I can't always buy. Steve Jobs couldn't buy it. Right? At a certain point I couldn't buy it. I needed money to get healthy, but I also needed that focus, that conviction, that time. I was housebound for a year. I didn't make money for a year. And I lived in Santa Monica, California. Okay, things weren't cheap. And so I had to have systems very close. We could do another one on chronically sick and wealth and all that, and but that was one of the big things. I had to use all three, and I had to maximize all three to get out of that hole. So,
Yes.
I would say is that, relook at balance. You have to understand what your priorities and your values are in life. And that is where people are sometimes even unconsciously out of integrity. So number one is the integrity and trust. I got to feel that with whoever I work with, because I know we can always figure stuff out if I really feel connected with you. And then the second is, obviously, for me, is like lived experience is big. If someone hasn't had any kind of suffering or been through there and they're just talking about it, that's a big problem. I hired so many NDs, John, naturopath doctors, and I went to so many GI doctors, MDs, and the only thing I could see, I failed with all of them, and it wasn't all their fault. I hadn't taken responsibility yet. I was still a victim. I delegated the whole thing out to them, so I had to take some responsibility in that process. These people were geniuses in their own right. But one of the common things is none of them had Crohn's disease.
Yeah.
None of them had actually lived it. And none of them actually had a testimony of, hey, look, here's someone just like you I helped out.
That's right.
Lived experience. So I want trust, integrity, and lived experience, usually because I can connect with you emotionally. Like if I'm going to hire someone to help me with my marriage and they've never been married, it's not really where I'm going to go probably. If I'm going to hire someone to help me with my kids and they don't have kids, it's just going to be tough. It's just, I'm not saying it's a 100%, but that's something, like my credit score, it matters a lot. Like if I'm judging the decision, that's pretty high up there. So I
Sure.
want lived experience, trust, and integrity. I want them to have a sense of passion. Why are you doing this? What drives you to be in this role? Because I need to feel something more than money. I think a lot of people really connect with that with me. This is more than money. Okay. Like I am extremely passionate about what I do. So I look for passion in others. Why? What drives you to help this out? I'll look that with my CPA. I paid a lot of taxes, or I realize everyone's getting stiffed off and I really felt like called to help people. And this is how I can help people. I'm really good at that. Even that's good enough for me. I just got to feel a certain sense of a deep why.
Mm.
And I would say somebody who is also open gives me the impression that they're willing to go the extra mile if I'm willing to go the extra mile. If I am willing to go the extra mile, I want someone who gives me the impression that they were. I don't like it when people want your coach, your person to go the extra mile when you're not, when you're 80%. That's not fair. And you're out of integrity. So you as client and person as coach both need to be in integrity and both have to hold each other to certain standards. The reason why Tony Robbins is charging $1 million is because you have to pay that much so he knows you care and that you're in it. I mean, who would pay $1 million and not be 100%? I don't know. Maybe someone, but not me. So that's why a lot of times it's very expensive. Are you for real? Are you really going to do this? I want 100%. And sometimes if you're a business owner, if you only charge, I used to charge very little for my program compared to what people would tell me. I had one client tell me, you're charging way too little. And he gave me this big lecture that
I get told that all the time.
right. He says, he goes, people are going to have a price objection, no matter if it's $500 or $5,000. You're going to find it. They're going to have price objections because, people have to, what something is worth is relative, right? If I gave you a Rolls Royce for $10,000, you'd be like, I'm stealing it because of your perception of a Rolls Royce. So most people don't even understand the value of $10,000 or $5,000. They've never even been asked or pitched on something like that. And then he said, what's going to change is when you charge more, you're going to get more serious people and your ability to help them is going to go way up because they're focused. They're real with this. They're really doing that. And we've had people even crowdfund into our program, which scares me. Because I'm like, man, this person they're literally asking everyone in their universe to join my program. Guys, buck up. We got to bring the heat. And I did a testimony just last week with someone who raised money in the program. I mean, I'm like, thank God. I'm like, thank you, God. Because people are putting so much into us because they have nowhere else to go. And so that's scary. But, I also think a lot of times, people are out of integrity where they're, especially nowadays, you're seeing all these marketers keep saying, 80% marketing, 20% actual value of their program and operations and how they do things. And I think it's backwards. I really would rather wait to make a lot of money and build something that's one of a kind that I can always stand by and say, we are the best at what we do. And
I so get that. I so
slower.
get
I'd
that
rather do
too,
it
man.
slower.
I remember very early on, there was a marketer who I'd started to learn from and realized it wasn't a good fit. And he kept saying perceived value, and you'd kind of laugh. He'd be like, the perceived value of this is X. And he would use this term. And I'm like, what about real fucking value? Like, why are we talking about just the perception of the value? But like, it almost seemed like, look I got him. I made him think it was that much. And it was only perceived value. And it just drove me crazy versus, hey man, we're delivering massive value and maybe not maybe giving it at a discount or at a really good price, but it's actually really good value
Yeah.
versus perceived. Yeah.
I'm gonna give you one hack on that. If someone gives you a 30 to 50% off Black Friday deal, then it's shit in my mind. I know it's just me. Like, what are you selling over here, you joker?
Yeah.
What the heck are you selling? 90% off Black Friday. I'm like, unfollow.
Yeah.
We don't do deals. It's tried and true. It's integrity. That's what it costs. That's what it takes our team. You get a private coach, all that. But I'd love to continue to dive into more value on this podcast. Like, how can we really help people? So I want to give you the top things I did that helped change my life. Okay. Because a lot of it is, and then we can go on from there with, root issues or supplements or protocol alternative therapies I've really seen really help. But here's the things that are going to really help you change. And I noticed that once I finally got my life back, 4 or 5 years of suffering, I woke up one day, I'm 185 pounds. I'm having 2 to 3 bowel movements a day. My sigmoidoscopy shows 90% normal. I'm medication free. My blood work's normal. No electrolyte deficiencies, no anemia, great energy. I'm on no medication. Sigmoidoscopy is 90% normal. Doctor at UCLA turns around, looks at me and goes, "What the hell are you doing?" And then I splatted out a dictionary to her and she said, "Okay, whatever, just keep doing what you're doing. Come visit me if you need anything." Because she was saying, "I can't help you. You're not taking medications. What else do you want me to do?" So it was very scary. But it started with this. Number one is I only ate what I cooked, because before you even decide, I need to go carnivore, I need to do that, why don't you just start trying to focus more on preparing what's in the food? Get rid of the processed stuff, the hidden ingredients. You don't have to worry about reading ingredients so much if you make it. And if you've got money, build a system. Okay. Start looking around. I just put it out in 1 week and said, let's get a chef. And like 2 weeks later, we found the chef, and she was $50 an hour. It's if you every 2 weeks, I'm telling you, if you do the math on getting Uber Eats or whatever, it's very similar. So only what I cooked. I did prayer and purpose morning and night. And it doesn't matter about if you're religious or not. Resetting your mind and your spirit and giving up all the stress and anxiety to a higher power is good for you, because it can't hurt, but only help. So write this down. If you're convicted to get better and you're willing to get uncomfortable, because I promise if you're stuck, then your answer is in the energy of discomfort. Okay. If you're stuck, your answer is uncomfortable, guaranteed. If you're uncomfortable, you're probably floating around the right pond. Okay. So I like prayer and purpose because I have nothing to lose and everything to gain. So ask yourself, what are things I could do where I have nothing to lose and everything to gain? So for me, it was like, say a prayer every morning. And I don't care if you're praying to Kermit the Frog, Jesus, Buddha, doesn't matter. Whatever you think, prayer, and then purpose. The purpose of my day is, and the purpose of my day has been. That helped me get rid of the anxiety of I'm not making money. I'm not seeing my friends. I'm not networking. I'm not at the gym. All the things that were really hurting me because I was housebound. So I continued to condition the thought that that's not the goal, Dane. It's not to build muscle, Dane. It's not to get 150 grams of protein in, Dane. It's not to go there and try to meet the next person and network your butt off or go get another date. It's to be here and heal yourself. That's what you're called to do. So I condition that every morning. The purpose of my day is at night. The purpose of my day has been. Then I journal. I'm Dr. Dane, 5 minutes morning, 5 minutes at night. You can build this for yourself. If you want mine, just shoot us a message at info@crohnsgleislifestyle.com, or just reach out to us on Instagram and I'll send you my healing journal. So I Dr. Dane that. I filled out 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night, prayer and purpose, aromatherapy, put on Bob Marley. I don't watch scary stuff. I don't listen to crazy stuff. And I solve other people's problems. So another thing I always did, if I ever had a problem that I communicated to someone, I had to tell them 2 or 3 possible solutions after I tell them the problem, because I'm not going to float negative energy. You can have a problem, but if you focus on solutions, you're focusing on a law of attraction, manifesting positive energy. Don't sit with this. Great, there's the problem. What are you going to do about it? So if my mom called and said, "Hey, how are you?" after I almost died, instead of saying, "I'm still seeing blood," I'd say, "My blood's 30% down. I'm winning." So I got her to be excited instead of her worried. I no longer allowed my energy to make other people upset and worried. No. That ain't flying. I watched my mom cry for months as I almost died. Not going to happen. I'm fucking done with that shit. If I die, I'm going to die with a smile. I'm not going to let my mom live in that pain with me. You can feel that on me. Okay. Ain't going to happen. Me and my dad, we're good now. I don't care. I'm done with it. Okay. I'm listening about, I'm going to pray. I'm going to purpose. I'm going to take care of a garden. I'm going to get my feet in the ground. I'm going to read every freaking day because I'm tired of my negative thoughts. Here's a great hack. You cannot read a book, a page, and think of your problems at the same time. It's the biggest hack of actually reading. You can do it on an audio book. You can do it on a podcast, but you cannot read a book, a page, and then think about all your problems. So what you can do is if you just read for 20 minutes, that's 20 minutes of someone who's probably smarter, more successful, more mentally conditioned in your brain, conditioning you, exercising you for 20 minutes. I used to literally feel like Tony Robbins was living in me after a 40-minute sauna session reading Unleash the Power Within. I'm like, oh, I'm going to manifest it. I was so up, and it was every day, that conditioning, just like, how you love the gym and you get that high, like, oh, I feel so good. It's the same thing with reading self-empowerment books. So I love to read on manifestation. I just want that energy around me. It's like, oh, like a thing with manifestation is you got to feel like it's already happened before you're going to attract it. Oh, it's already here. I'm already healed. Time hasn't caught up yet. Shout out to my boy Charlie, at Charlie. He used to say this to me all the time. I've already achieved all these results. I'm already lost the weight. Time hasn't caught up yet. I practice it. So I practice the feeling of feeling good, and try to practice getting rid of the feeling of feeling bad, even when I was depressed. Because I wake up and say, I feel like crap, but I can at least still practice feeling good. And so those were big. Journaling, and then only focus on solutions, really focus on what's negative and get it out of my life, and focus on the positivity. I'd read at least 20 minutes a day. I would journal, only eat what I cook. And then the journal would help me customize my plan, which was interesting because I didn't follow any specific diet, John. A lot of people say, what was the diet that worked for you? I had tried the fruitarian diet by David Klein, who would tell me to eat 20 bananas, right? And I did like bone broth fast. I did carnivore paleo style. And I failed a lot of times with SED. I tried. None of it perfectly worked. What worked is when I started mixing certain attributes from this and that and this. So I started building an elemental fruit shake that I learned from David Klein. It wasn't exactly how his book said it, or even when I interviewed him, how he said it, but my notes were telling me it worked for me. Then I went over to carnivore and stuff, and I started refining it. Like, I didn't do well with steaks. I couldn't break down the fats. I had fat malabsorption, low bile production, low stomach acid, low pancreatic enzymes. I couldn't break down a steak. Couldn't eat it. And everyone, oh, you got to go carnivore. Didn't work for me. And a lot of my clients doesn't work for. Other clients, it's golden. That's why you have to customize. So I started, as I was journaling, I was able to customize and stack. And so then it was like parasympathetic nervous system, Epsom salt bath to help my liver and detox, with skin brushing, with prayer and purpose. And then I'm continuing to move my nutrition plan. I did better with fruit at certain times, and at certain times I did better with meat. And then I started working in a little bit more vegetables, but I did no seeds, no skins, and pressure cooked because I needed to make it bioavailable. Okay. 2 biggest cardinal rules you want with food: eliminate inflammatory response and increase nutrient absorption. I don't care what your quote unquote diet is. Whatever it is needs to do those 2 things. And based on the root cause, some of you are going to do better with plants, some of you are going to do better with meat, some of them it's a mixture of both.
So quick question on your journaling and your checking in.
Yep.
What are you checking for? Are you just saying, hey, what happened? What did I eat? And how do I feel? Is it as simple as that?
No, so this is really impactful for people who have a lot of symptoms. So I'm doing 1 out of 10 energy. So I intuitively say, what's my energy? How many bowel movements I had, how many bowel movements I had at night, what they look like, if I saw any blood, and then did I have all the supplements I told myself. So I'd write out what's called a daily blueprint. A daily blueprint is what I'm saying in integrity that I promise I'm going to do morning from when I wake up to when I go to bed. And that's what taught me how consistency was more important than perfection. Because I would read, and I would take I would see 90 supplements that look good, just like you guys out there, but I couldn't be consistent. So what I had to do is say, this is what I'm going to choose. I'm going to have faith in this, and I'm going to just be consistent with this. Even if it's only 60% of what I perceive could get me maximum results. Okay. So consistency over perfection. So I'm looking at it. Did I take the supplements I told myself I was going to take? And I would update my daily blueprint at the beginning every 3 days. Then as I got better at it, I'd only update it every 2 weeks. See, a lot of times the biggest core issue you're making out there is every day your actual protocol is changing. And that's throwing off your intuition. And that's why you're lost. So you have to reset your integrity and what you say you're going to do. Even if you're unsure, just get accountability and say, I'm just going to do this for 2 weeks and I'm not going to miss it. And if you only need to do 60% of what you're doing right now, then trim it. Trim it. Yep. Show me you can be consistent. Show me you can be a man of your word. Then we can add. Then we can dance more. My coach has been doing this for 10, 12 years. You're going to hear this from every functional practitioner. Their ability to be in integrity with doing more in a day goes up and up the more they practice. It's like a workout. If you've been working out for 3 years, you're going to be able to handle 30 miles a week running. If it's only been working out for 3 months, you're going to handle 3 miles a week of running. Okay. So it's a conditioning on what your spirit can handle and how much ROI are you getting. If you're starting to get ROI, your spirit's going to shift and you're going to want more from me. You're going to say, give me more, and I'm ready for more because I'm so excited about how I'm feeling. So that goes back to your answer. How do I get results? And how do I decide what I'm doing? make a strategic plan like a chess match. Make a strategic plan, get consistent, and then go keep like a dog on a bone, look for ROI. Where is the ROI? And you need to be sitting down with yourself once or even twice a week, or your coach. Where's the ROI? What's working? What ROI was it supposed to get? What was it supposed to do? And do we think it's worth, if it's doing anything, what's the cost of it? How hard is it to keep up with? Is there any negative downside of it? So that's where I do love a coach. Everyone should have someone to talk to about it. And if you have money and you have time and energy, get a coach. The coach is the most valuable thing you can do for really your health, your wealth, or anything. Is if you can find a private coach, change the game. It's more valuable than lab work, supplements, is a private coach. And because just someone to sit down and to let you to work it all out.
Yeah.
And it specializes in it. It's a game changer.
1000%. Talk to me about some of the things that you've tried over the years that have supported you that could potentially work for people who might not wrestle with the same health issues that you have, but we're all looking to be perhaps less inflamed, like you said. You know, if you could reduce inflammation and increase nutrient uptake, I think that's what you said, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So go
yeah,
ahead.
talk to me about some of these things that I've heard you talk about, like if it's hyperbaric, if it's specific type of supplements that you're after, if it's stem cells. Maybe
Yeah.
give us two or three of your most highly recommended processes or supplements that anyone could use.
So I find the number one issue is with people is energy and focus, because without that, it gets hard to do everything else. And if you want to take the inflammation problem to another level, there's a lot of layers to that. So the first thing I do is make sure that you had energy and excitement, and that this was one of your top priorities. Because if I get into that mess with you guys and you're just looking and you're thinking, give me the hack, give me the supplement, you're not understanding how inflammation works. You're not just understanding how complex and diverse the body is. So the first thing, I've gotten amazing results. I was working with the CEO, this woman, she's successful as successful gets. And she was drinking 4 cups of coffee a day, and she has extreme inflammation. And she was like, what do I take? Very quick, similar question to you. Let's start. I worked with her privately. I said, first thing I want to do is eliminate things. Okay, so I want to work on your mental discipline. The goal right now is to not do, and I just want to add in something for your energy. Because she was so angry and upset with not having enough energy to run her company and do stuff, that if I got that going, I know I'd get ROI. So the first thing I want to get from you is I want to get ROI. You're excited, you want to learn more, you notice something. So what I would start with to get your energy up, and then I want to use that discipline and excitement to take away first, is D-ribose and L-carnitine. There's a product called RiboCarniClear by Designs for Health. That's a mega dose of carnitine and D-ribose, which are naturally occurring in animal foods. But taken at large doses, it helps to give you a sense of clarity and energy boost. And I find it works extremely well with chronic fatigue syndrome. Within a month, we got her completely off coffee. Her energy on coffee went from 2 out of 10 up to 7 out of 10 in 1 month. 3 months later, she hadn't had a cup of coffee in 3 months, and she was averaging energy of 7 or 8 out of 10 every day. So what we did is we removed things that were causing inflammation. And when you have inflammation, it zaps your energy. But she also got immediate ROI, where within a week, she was like, Dane, you're like my guy forever. You're my I'm going to do whatever you tell me to do. So what I'd done is I had built trust with her. I had built
This is
integrity
because she
quickly.
eliminated coffee, or because she added this supplement, or both at the same time?
Both, but it's a long story short. I'll give you the biggest bump was she did extremely well with D-ribose L-carnitine at high dosages. We started off at 500
How do you
milligrams.
spell that? D-ribose?
D-ribose, R-I-B-O-S-E.
Okay.
And then L-carnitine, C-A-R-N-I-T-I-N-E. And we started off and then some of the dosages get really high. Obviously, speak with your doctor. This is not medical advice. But with her, we slowly worked her up to 2 grams of each, sometimes even more. Okay, which is a mega dose. That's 2,000 milligrams. So we did that. Plus, we did a multivitamin for her mitochondria energy. So it had B complex, it had CoQ10, alpha lipoic acid, it had a little bit more carnitine and D-ribose in it as well. That was called mitochondria, MOMITOCHONDRIA, mitochondria space NRG. You can actually see these on Amazon.com if you want to check them out. If you're a member, we get you all sorts of discounts and all benefits, whatever. But if you want to check them out, they're really expensive on Amazon, but you can at least see them and look at them. We did those two. And then what we did is we started eliminating things that were causing inflammation. Inflammation is usually a problem of what you're adding in your life first. So the first thing you want to do is get away from things that are inflaming and causing problems. So processed milk, processed food. The thing a lot of I'm seeing CEOs have heard this 100 times, they're still missing. You're going to restaurants and you're eating maybe even cleanish food, but it's cooked in soybean oil, it's cooked in canola oil, it's cooked in any type of seed oil that's very inflammatory. You need to get rid of these oils. They're inflaming you. Second is you're eating food high in toxins, environmental toxins, or like things like glyphosate. Glyphosate can massively cause inflammation connected to all sorts of autoimmune disease. So if you can start removing certain things, and then a lot of times the biggest thing when people remove is they go, I'm so hungry and I feel depleted because I'm living like a rabbit over here, right? I feel like I'm living like a rabbit. I can't do anything. So there's an energy decrease. So if I start taking away things and you start feeling more energetic, I have a chance of your pain goes down, your arthritic pain goes down, your skin gets better, your mind gets more clear. You feel more excited for the day. You don't need the Starbucks as much, which has a ton of toxins in it anyways. All right. So that's where I'm going to say. So a lot of inflammation is about what is still in your body. Now we can go Yoda with that and you can decide, but I usually don't push that because I know emotionally and spiritually you need to go through a journey where this is becoming a lifestyle that you are excited about and you're choosing. It can feel a little cult-like if you're emotionally not ready and you're not choosing it and someone's telling you to do it out of fear. You cannot be fear-driven. This needs to be desire-driven. So the way I live, most people won't live, but I've slowly walked there where it's my choice and I want it. You're here because you think you need it. That's a bad energy. You're not going to win with that. And as a coach, I'm always looking at like therapy, mental health therapy. Where is this person? If they're just looking for that MPS, magic protocol syndrome, I know I need to get them quick ROI. So I want to make them feel better. Processed foods, processed dairy, gluten, glyphosate, seed oils. All right. I'm going to probably want you to eat maybe 3 times a day. Calm down on the snacking. Don't eat after 7 p.m., especially sugars. Any sugars, you want to maybe focus on like fruit, organic sugar. If you have to open a package, there's going to be what I call a convenience tax. If you open up a package, there's going to be something in it, okay? So you have to decide what kind of person are you. You're going to take the hill, the hard hill? Like my company was the hard hill, but now no one's behind me because no one else took it. So I don't have any competition. Okay, you take the easy hill, there's conveniences. Okay, whenever there's a convenience, there's a tax in life. If you're not going to learn this stuff, you're going to get taxed. It's coming. It's a matter of time, right? So spend your time and energy, learn this stuff. Can you stop having to open up packages? The less packages you need to open up, the healthier you're going to be, the more energy you're going to have, the younger you're going to look. Ladies, the less bloated you're going to be, the better your hair is going to be, the better skins you're going to be, the better sex you're going to have, the more natural libido you're going to have. The more muscle and leaner you're going to be, where you're not going to have to run off. I hear people laugh like, I got to go run off that extra 10 pounds I just ate. It's like, why don't you just not eat it and save yourself the 4-mile run? Right? I'm lean. I don't need to run. If I want to run, I will. Because of the lifestyle I've built is I'm in balance with the earth. You want to get in balance. Okay. And so that's going to do, if you can build that lifestyle, you're going to worry less about inflammation. You're going to worry less about cancer. As Dr. Peter Attia talks about, he says the deadly 4 horsemen is like diabetes, cancer, heart disease, cholesterol issues, things like that, right? Well, I'm looking at it, I'm going, I don't have to worry about any of that stuff because nearly dying of Crohn's colitis built a lifestyle that reduces the risk of me to get any of those diseases that are actually killing people. Because I don't have the processed sugars. I don't drink. If I drink, it's very, very in a blue moon. I don't need to have processed foods. I don't have anything. I eat organic. I don't have glyphosate. I keep my nervous system. I have an infrared sauna. I have a cold plunge. We'll go over those alternative therapies and what I like. Yeah, I just want to make that big point about inflammation.
Do you think sugar's the lead domino here?
Oh, yeah. And here's why. I just look at how the earth was made. The number one thing I look at besides the clinical research is fantastic. And we see in the clinical research that sugar is a massive problem for cancer, autoimmune, gut health issues, autism, diabetes. Okay. We see it in the clinical research. But just look how people lived for hundreds of years before these diseases happened. Let me ask you, where did you get sugar in nature 100 years ago?
Fruit
When did fruit grow?
in the summer,
How many months?
just for a few.
Okay, so you were more likely in ketosis for February, January,
Yeah.
March.
Yeah. Really interesting.
It's just obvious. Look back. Just look 100 years ago. Just look at how people were. There wasn't all this sugar. It just wasn't around. Even carbohydrates were harder to get.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big things when I look at carnivore meat eating. I'm going, they got a big point here. People needed meat to survive, and we've been eating meat for a lot of years. But also look at plant based, and there's a lot of good stuff there on both sides. I think it's a marriage of both. So if you can just do this, remember, success is simple. Write this down. Success is always simple, and failure is always hard. And that means that if you're making things too difficult, you're less likely to get success. Your goal is to take something that's hard and make it easy. That's what LeBron James did. That's what Tiger Woods did. That's what a lot of people success. All I've done is I've taken the hardest things that were impossible for me 10 years ago, and I've conditioned them to be easy. It is so easy for me to be gluten-free now. It is so easy for me not to have alcohol. It is so easy for me to go to bed on time. It's so easy for me not to need to smoke weed or stuff. I will if I ever want to, but I don't need to. So my life is built on desire, not fear. I can eat whatever I want, whenever I want, however I want, but I am conditioned in a way that I don't want to poison myself. I have no desire of it. And I like to surround myself who live like me, so we push each other further. I'm not trying to be average. I'm trying to be great. How many of you guys with me? You want to be great? You want to be average? Then you need to be uncomfortable. If you're uncomfortable, great. You're probably where you need to be. Get uncomfortable. And do you want to have power over your health, or you want to keep giving it power to the doctors? Take another shot, take another biologic, take another steroid. Because if you don't learn this stuff, you're going to then delegate the power. And it's better to do it now. And I love the book. I think it's called Outlive. Peter Attia, he just came out with it a year ago. And he talks about the new medicine needs to be proactive, where you're not responding to disease. You're trying to treat the disease before it even is found in labs, before it even happens. Totally. And that's his whole thing. And I love that. Is my life is like that. I'm constantly considering a detox. So stay on the offense. Stay on the offense. What are you learning and what are you doing? So that's going to help with inflammation. With offense on inflammation, I love high-dose C3 curcumin. If you have a gut issue, I like curcumin that's not as bioavailable.
You said C3 curcumin?
C3 is a company who makes it. There are others that talk about even a stronger type of curcumin, like the tetrahydrocurcumin, which is also a really good one. But basically with curcumin, there's a version that's very bioavailable and can work more systemically for systemic inflammation, CRP, sed-rate, arthritis. And that's like a tetrahydrocurcumin. A product I like to use is called Curcum. So CURCUM Evail, EVAIL. And that's where they use certain fats with the curcumin to make it bioavailable. Liposomal delivery form is also really good at that. That's Quicksilver Scientific. Chris Shade has really good products that are very bioavailable if you're looking for systemic issues around that. But curcumin's really good. Boswellia is really good to help reduce. Some evidence has shown that moderate amounts of CO2 extracted fish oil can be good. Body Bio makes a version of that. A company called Body Bio CO2 extracted fish oil. Healthy amounts of omega-3s and omega-6 in your diet. So whatever you do, if you're plant or meat, you need to make sure you're getting high amounts of omega-3s. Like I might do, you could, like, a lot of wild caught Atlantic salmon can be great. Avocado, if you can get a CO2 extracted, don't get a emulsified distilled. Most of the fish oil in stores are absolute shit. They're crap. Don't waste your money on it. You'd be probably better off getting like a cod liver oil at Sprouts or Erewhon if you're in California. And that's got high vitamin A, vitamin D, plus a good amount of omega-3s. But remember, your brain only needs 7.5 milligrams of omega-3s to run and properly work. And we're taking 1,000 milligrams at a time. So I think we're really overdosing the omega-3s. And we really don't need it. We need a 1-to-4 ratio of omega-3s to omega-6s. So if you have 1 omega-3, you need 4 of the omega-6 to have a proper ratio. And so I think you can just work on a high quality omega-3 and you don't need as much. And vitamin D.
You mentioned Tony Robbins earlier. I remember 20 years ago him talking about Udo's oil. Do you remember this?
Yeah, plant-based omega-3 to 6 ratio cold pressed product. Yeah.
It was like, I remember Tony being like, when I get on my private jet, I'll have like a cooler with ice and I'll have Udo's oil in it. It was like, I was like, shit, I got to get me some Udo's oil, man. Like,
Yeah, I
That's
take
all it
cod liver
takes.
oil nowadays over Uda's oil. Uda's oil is all plant-based, and I do think the animal-based omega-3s are a little better. And,
Yeah.
but that's just my opinion. That could be changed.
Yeah.
So, I hope that makes sense. So for inflammation, you do want to get on the offense, but really a lot of inflammation is the body's out of sync. The second thing is you have to build up your microbiome. If you're getting an autoimmune disease cytokine reaction, you've got to inhibit that. So eliminating things. So my favorite to help with that is going to be how to remove. Like if you're removing food, now you need to detox. The word detox can be taken out of context in a million ways. You can have a liver detox. You can have a food detox. You can have a spiritual detox. People use this word in a million different ways. A cellular detox, right? What you want to do is you want to remove toxins, environmental toxins, mycotoxins, endotoxins from the body. How do you remove? You need to properly expel through pee, sweat, pooping, okay, and even breathing. And also you need to open up what's called your drainage pathways. The two biggest drainage pathways we can talk about today for the sake of time is liver and lymphatic system. Okay? The lymphatic system is how it moves toxins systemically throughout the body. Things that can help with this is pressure, like HBOT. Also sweating, a sauna can help drain your lymphatic system. Those are two of my favorite alternative therapies you can do. But again, just like supplements, I want you to understand your why. You're going to waste a lot of money. You're going to get overwhelmed if you don't have a strong why. That's why I love coaching, because it's like, why am I doing this? So if you guys have an ND, anyone right now, I want you to go to them tomorrow and say, why? Get your phone out, start taking notes, and write out your protocol. Don't expect them to send you your notes to the protocol. You take care of your own protocol. Okay. If I work with anyone, I don't care if I pay them 500 grand. I'm writing out my protocol. You can write it for me too, but I'm writing my protocol. I'm managing it. And then I'm looking over the protocol and do I understand that, and that? Because that's how I'm going to, that's how I'm
Dude,
going to get max ROI.
I just want to put an exclamation point on that for me.
Yeah.
Because that I think is the gold right there. Dude,
It's
of all the things that we're talking about here, and all of this is valuable, there's everything that we're talking about is valuable. But if there's one thing, it's that I think I just want to say it. I just want to pause to be like, guys, you have to take ownership of this. That's where we started this conversation. That's where it feels like this conversation is ending, is like, you have to take ownership. So the fact that you're like asking why, taking notes and owning your protocol, I hear that. And I just want to raise my hand and go, I've been a victim in the past. I've totally done the opposite. I'm like, the doctor didn't send me the notes. The doctor didn't tell me what to do. The doctor. And I was a victim. I'm looking right now for this folder that I just put together, Dane, which is like, it's a 3-ring binder. And I just made this, recently this year. And it's got all my printed reports in it, all my latest labs. And then I created my own spreadsheet, which I went through all my labs for the last 6 years almost. And I wrote where the trends were. And I wrote the ones that were low in blue and the ones that were high in red. And I literally I'm creating this because nobody else is doing it for me.
You figured it out. You've
Nobody
unlocked the
else is
key to
doing it for
success.
me.
And John, you run a company. If you have someone come in and they have that kind of mentality, what's your instinct of them getting massive success?
Yeah, we always say in Front Row Dads, we're not going to do your push-ups for you.
If someone comes in with that energy, I already know, oh man, they're going to get massive success. This is an example of my journal for everyone visual.
Yeah.
All it is a 3-ring binder. And then that might be a blueprint of what I'm taking.
Yep.
Then I might go through here and you can, it's kind of chicken scratch for you, but that's like a day that I'll fill out.
Yep.
And it's just check. And then every week I can go back 7 days, 10 days. What were the trends? What worked? And I know I've been talking 1,000 miles an hour, guys. I'm just trying to give you so much value. I want this to be something you want to share, you want to get involved in. I want to bring the heat for John. Thank you so much for having me, John, and even bringing me on. I do want to leave people with the question that we didn't hit, which what are my top alternative therapies I would invest in?
Yes.
And take away, because I know that's a big one everyone wants. For everyone still listening, thanks for listening. So let me give you a little bit of value right now, okay? If I've got the budget, I did mesenchymal stem cells. I did 242 million mesenchymal stem cells from umbilical cord lining in December. And the retail price on this is roughly $22,000. When I talked to Dr. Royden, it was $27,000 for this. And the reason why someone may consider this is because it and over a long time, stem cells can sit in your body and help respond to inflammation and regulate it for 6 months, 8 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years. We've seen it work for a 2-day infusion, a year, 2 years. So people who are chronically stuck on biologics, people who are chronically inflamed and don't know what to do, and you have a budget, okay? You don't feel safe in your body. This could be something. Now, you can't have any predisposal to cancers, but it's a 2-day infusion. Out of 12 years of work at ReHealth, the one I went there because Dr. Josh Axe, one of my mentors, he recommended to it. So I said, hey man, where do you like? And him and Dan Pompa both went there. And I said, okay, I'm going to try it out. It was a wonderful experience. Their MD there has Crohn's disease. That was amazing. I interviewed him. I just threw it on YouTube. But that can be a place where it can actually regulate and without any negative effects that we're seeing, regulate your immune system to keep the inflammation down and calm systemically. So the stem cells can actually make exosomes of themselves and go through and regulate. In the way they do it, in 12 years, they've not had one person to be hospitalized or have a severe urgent matter in 12 years of giving the infusions in Cancun, Mexico.
It's ReHealth?
ReHealth. If you guys want to check it out, I have no, I'm not going to get a financial payday on this in any way. Okay. I just love what they're doing and I want to keep working with them. So I'm hoping they'll throw me a bone in the future because it's expensive, right? So they, ReHealth, if you go onto I just posted a video, or just DM us and we'll connect you with them. But when you fill out their application, they'll actually do a 1-hour free consultation to any qualified applicant. So if you're in a position, you can really consider this. They'll do a 1-hour talk and deep dive with you with your case, your needs for chronic disease. For me, that is the single strongest one-stop shop that is potentially the safest to calm down things like autism, autoimmune disease, chronic inflammation in any ways, SEERS, chronic inflammatory response syndrome. It is amazing. From the research I've seen, low risk, huge rewards. You don't take a supplement every day for your life. You fly down there for 3 days and you're done. And I've felt amazing since I've done it. I actually interviewed him in the interview on the YouTube I just posted. I'm interviewing him 5 minutes after my infusion. So I'm telling you what I'm feeling as I'm interviewing Dr. Eduardo, MD, who had Crohn's disease. So that's where, if I have a big budget, what I would recommend is do the functional medicine, work on root cause, do some functional labs, and then I would do that if you have what's considered a lifelong chronic disease. Okay, that's what I would do. After I'm done with the stem cells, the second thing I really love is HBOT, hyperbaric oxygen therapy. It's FDA approved. It has tons of clinical research. It has tons of research for autism, autoimmune disease, fissures, fistulas, torn ACLs, labrum problems, all my athletes with bad elbows, bad knees. What it is, it's so simple. It's pressure and density of oxygen. So the oxygen we're breathing right now is usually only getting 20% capacity at a cellular level on average when we breathe and sit here, especially us who are working 100 miles an hour and don't sit down and breathe and meditate. The hyperbaric oxygen chamber gives you 100% oxygen density directly into the nose, plus the pressure helps drive the oxygen at a cellular level. So you want to start at 1.3 atmosphere, then I'd say work up to something like 1.5 to 1.8. You can speak with your local place to do it. Just research hyperbaric oxygen chamber. The pressure also helps drain the lymphatic system. It's great for migraines. It's great for cognitive function issues or people with brain trauma after an accident. And it's just oxygen and pressure. That's it. It's quite amazing. And then sometimes insurance will cover it. HBOT also helps to invigorate stem cells. So if you're going to spend all that money on stem cells, something you can get them to work even better is to do HBOT after the stem cells. Okay. And that may even show even better results. I had a PharmD doctor in my program who had ulcerative colitis 15 years. He was such a hard case, couldn't get rid of the blood and mucus. He was like 80% symptom free, but couldn't get rid of the blood and the mucus in 4 bowel movements a day. Does the stem cells, does HBOT, and the first time in 2 years, within a week, symptom free. Like that. We've seen amazing results with that. So HBOT is amazing. Mesenchymal stem cells amazing. I would also, if you got the funds, I would get an infrared sauna in your house. Infrared sauna has been shown to, if you do it consistently, and the clinical research is more for a dry sauna actually than infrared sauna. So everyone should know that. Dry saunas tend to have more clinical research than the infrared. But a dry sauna between the heat of 175, 195 degrees, some research has shown that all-cause mortality, the things that kill you, can drop by 40% from consistent use of sauna. We see better drainage of the drainage pathway, so the lymphatic system. We see a potential increase in growth hormone, a potential increase in testosterone. We see longevity, skin get clear, help great for acne, rejuvenation of skin through the sweating process. It's been known to help with releasing heavy metals. If you have mercury problems, like Tony Robbins had serious mercury issues. If you've had problems with mold, mycotoxins stuck in your body, fumes that don't leave. Mold will leave your body about as quickly as cancer sticks. They just, cigarette sticks, they don't leave your body. So you have to actually offensively work on releasing the mold. Infrared sauna, really wonderful for that. So there's a lot of different values around infrared sauna. Obviously, cold plunge is also good for inflammation. You could go in there for even 3 to 4 minutes. Just get, I would just start just trying to get anything above your heart right over here down into the cold plunge. 3 to 5 minutes a day has been shown to also reduce inflammation, as you said. So in my house, my mission is infrared sauna, cold plunge, HBOT in my house. Plus I have peptides. Peptides is the last one I would go into. I think if you want to learn about peptides, you first need to listen to Dr. Andrew Huberman. Just type in peptides, Andrew Huberman. He talks, he gives you the clinical research. There's not a lot of research because they're not FDA approved, but I'm interested in looking at LL37, BPC 157, thymosin beta 4, thymosin alpha 1 are ones I would research for autoimmune disease, cellular health, energy, and tissue repair. But those can be done subcutaneous or oral. So those are like the 5 alternative therapies. I think that was 5 we just went over that I really I focus on. And my mission, if you want to know what I'm doing, is to get all of that in my house. So they're expensive, but over time, I want to create a healing home so I don't need to leave my house as much to empower my body
Sure.
to be optimized.
I hear you. All right, and then thanks. And I'll thank you in advance for the dinner invite.
Yeah, come over.
Let's hang and heal, man. Let's hang and heal. Dane, thank you, brother, for the conversation. I am so happy. The most important thing I want to say to you, and whether anybody's listening to this or not, I want to say it to you because if it was 1-to-1, I'd say the same thing. And that's been, I'm really happy that your health is so much better than it was. And I also want to honor you for taking the ownership over your situation and having the discipline and the focus and the courage to go after it. Your efforts, your story can now give us ways to look at our story and our health. Some of my favorite things that we talked about today is like these core principles that you brought up that can apply to anything in our lives, like looking for people that can support us, trust and integrity, lived experience, passion, going the extra mile, things like that you said was really cool. Also, I loved the part that you brought up about like what you remove. So the first thing is, hey, maybe not what do I add in, but what if I just stop poisoning myself? What might happen, and that's awesome, man, because a lot of times we do want the pill. We want to like be able to eat key lime pie for breakfast and then just go sit in the sauna and have everything be okay. But maybe we need to look at, what we're consuming and eliminating that before we add something else to consume or something else to add to our plate. Those types of things that we talked about. And of course, the overall mental strategy that you have here. You're excited, man. You're passionate. You're pumped about what you do. You are dedicated to giving value to this brotherhood and to these guys. And that's awesome, man. So I think for anybody that feels called to go learn from and with you, I could see how it would be very supportive to be in your group if they felt that this could be something that could really help them in their lives. Yes. So thank you, man. Appreciate you. I look forward to following along on your journey, your continued good health for you and your wife and your kids, and for all the people that you're serving. So thanks, brother. Anything else you want to say to the group before we go?
Thanks everyone for having me, and healing is possible. And there's so much we can do as a team. We win together. And I love what you just said and taking notes, John. I love it. Thank you for having me and doing that. And it is so much about what you're not doing. It's just as hard not to do as it is to do.
Yeah.
And that's something that we can learn here is we're always doing 100 things, but what are we not doing that can help actually get results? And that can be just as hard. And if you want to learn more about us or connect, or you or a family member has Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, IBS, and you need support, you can reach out to us at crohnscolitislifestyle.com. or Instagram, Crohn's Colitis _lifestyle, or Dane Johnson 1 for me. And if you click on the show notes, we know you came from John. If you want to work with us, because John's the reason we're here. It's the reason we have this. So shout out to John. Thank you so much for what you do in the organization you have. And I'm excited to grow with you guys and win-win. And if we ever want to jump on and dive into more stuff, I'm game.
Cool, man. Thanks, Dane. All my best to you, brother.
God bless.